The second trailer dropped today for the upcoming Hunger Games prequel movie, Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. And I'm sure this is one of those movies that Disney is going to be watching very carefully to see what actually happens with this, which is kind of a interesting note because this is going to be directly competing with one of their other movies, the Marvels. But at the same time, Disney does want this one to succeed for other reasons. But yeah, just jumping down into this article from the Hollywood Reporter. The games are beginning again in the new trailer for The Hunger Games, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. The film takes place 64 years before the events of The Hunger Games and stars Tom Blythe as a young Cornelia Snow, who decades later will become the ruthless ruler of Panem, the land where children from each of the districts are forced to fight to the death in the annual Hunger Games. Rachel Zegler stars as Lucy Gray Baird, a tribute and competitor in the Hunger Games who is mentored by Snow. Peter Dinklage, Hunter Schafer, Josh Andrews, Rivera, Jason Schwartzman, and Viola Davis also star. Filmmaker Francis Lawrence returns to direct the project after helming 3 of the 4 Hunger Games features that star Jennifer Lawrence as Katniss Everdeen. So yeah, I mean, that's just a quick rundown. And the reason why Disney cares about this one succeeding is just for the simple fact that Rachel Zegler is not only starring in this one, but she's also starring in their upcoming Snow White movie. And of course, she's made headlines in recent weeks just for kind of trashing the original movies, basically saying that they're very dated and they need to update them for modern sensibilities and other things like that, which obviously is putting off a lot of fans of the not only the original ones, but people just don't like her demeanor. I mean, right now there has been calls to boycott this movie as well as because of the things that she's made. I mean, oh yeah, and this is also another comment that she made during the strikes on the picket line. A video surfaced of her saying, if I'm going to stand there 18 hours in a dress of an iconic Disney princess, I deserve to be paid for every hour that is streamed online. Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty silly thing to say, but a lot of people were, because of her, I mean, people are just put off by her and not only don't want Snow White to succeed because of them drastically changing the movie and having utter disrespect for the source material, but now they're just put off by her to the point where they want this movie to fail as well. If you can't stand mask mandates or Rachel Zegler, you better boycott this out of the Hunger Games prequel this November. Wrote one on Twitter/X in response to a recent tweet about Lionsgate bringing back mask mandates to nearly half of its employees. And last I heard that Lionsgate did have those mandates for the employees, but they rescinded those. I guess they were getting a lot of pushback. They tried to say like, oh no, we contained it. It's like, no, they got pushback, so they ended that stuff. So yeah, good on them for that. Boycott all of Zegler's movies, including Hunger Games, which comes out in November. It looks like a dumb movie anyway, said another one, while a third added, she's going to end up having people boycott the new Hunger Games movie as well. Yeah, I mean, keep in mind, though, I mean, there's a lot of comments like this. The second worst casting of all time. The first was Snow White. How can anyone watch this knowing the real life actress is such a bad human? Okay. Keep in mind, though, these are just random people online. And I've said in other videos in the past that I think while these stuff does exist, I mean, I get a lot of hate online, too. I mean, it's nothing like she's anything special in that sense. Maybe just gets more of it because she's more high profile than me, obviously. But either way, I mean, I do think a lot of these studios will also hire PR people to say like some of the more egregious stuff or whatever in order to try to get headlines about this. But I mean, Disney's paying attention to this because, yeah, I mean, if she is so toxic where she derails this movie, then they'd have to be second guessing whether their movie is going to succeed or not, because right now they have it delayed until March, and they could try to figure out like what to do. Some people were saying it should just be dumped onto the Disney Plus platform. Other people were saying like, maybe delay it even a little while longer until things cool down with her, and maybe that would be a better time to release it. I mean, I don't know what's the best course of action with them. I mean, with all the pushback for that movie, I think the best thing to do would just be to put it on the Disney Plus platform where it's cheapest. But even if this movie doesn't succeed, though, there is still plausible deniability that it was her fault, because the last Hunger Game movie came out, what was it, like 2015, so 8 years ago. And while this is not necessarily a kids movie, it is usually aimed at more of a younger audience. I mean, if you're looking at like 13, 14, 15-year-olds to watch this, I mean, they were pretty young when the first ones came out. And while it's true that they probably have seen them since then or whatnot, it still doesn't have the momentum surrounding it as the Hunger Games movies had, like back when they were first coming out. And while they're trying to release it, the original ones in theaters in the lead up to this, which I think is a brilliant marketing strategy. Not only that, but it helps out the theaters, helps out the studios who were suffering from the strikes going on. It really isn't it might not be enough to really move the needle, so to speak. I mean, looking at the trailer that was released today, I mean, that's not a bad ratio right there for likes to dislike. I mean, usually for a movie, like you would expect it to be much higher for something that has momentum. But I mean, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of this is just from the simple fact that Rachel Zegler's in it. So it's really unclear what happens with this, but this is coming out in November and there's not a ton of competition except for maybe the Marvels. That's the closest thing to competition with this movie. And that's a Disney one. This one, it's not Disney, but like I said before, they want this movie to succeed because it's a good indicator at the very least. People won't decide not to see a movie just because Rachel Zegler's in it. But I mean, if it does just completely tank, then that's something that they'll have to like reconsider, like what they're going to do with their Snow White movie in the future. But let me know what you think about all this in the comment section below. And if you like this video, make sure you click the like button, share the video, and subscribe to the channel if you want to stay up to date with the latest news. Thank you.